Hello, my name is Jungmin KWON. I am a professor in Seoul National University of Education. Let me just do a brief introduction. I received my PhD from University of Wisconsin-Madison in 2009 in special education. So my background is education. The Seoul National University of Education is a university run by the government. It's the only way to become, if you want to become an elementary school teacher in Korea, you have to go through one of the universities of education. We have 10 campuses throughout Korea. We are located in Seoul, so that means we are the largest, and we are the leading school. We also have an experiment elementary school, which is an elementary school that's owned by the university, and it's used as a test bed. So if we develop anything new, a new curriculum, we test it on that school. That elementary school is actually the top school in Korea. To get in there, it's really, really hard. I'm also representing company Merge. We work very closely to develop our games. The CEO of Merge is Mr. Hongjun Shin. He's actually my husband. Okay. There are many types of disabilities, as you can see here. The population that we're focusing on is kids with intellectual disabilities and autism. Now, these two types of disabilities, I'll just call it ID and autism. They share the fact that they have intellectual limitations, which means they have limited memory, limited intellectual functioning. They're very slow to move their bodies, and it's very hard to motivate them to learn anything. There are not many games developed for this population because sometimes it's really difficult to even get them to click a mouse, let alone talk about understanding the purpose of the game. However, still this population is the people who may need this type of learning the most, because the traditional way of teaching, teaching and learning, which would be based on textbook, paper, pencil, is not motivating for them. Now, then what is the purpose of special education? Why do we want to educate these students? Some parents, they want their children to go to college. That's fine. However, the ultimate purpose of special education is to help them lead an independent life. And how to live independently? You have to have financial independence. That is very important. And how do you gain financial independence? How do you gain financial independence? You need a job. So the ultimate purpose of special education would be helping them to find a job. And so job training in special education is considered very, very fundamental and important. Now, we have an occupation subject. So it's just like science, math, reading, we have occupation or job training. And we actually have a job training textbook in Korea that's published, that's made by the government. However, Korean teachers, the research shows that 99% of Korean teachers, they don't use the job textbook. And the reason is because, first, it's boring, and you can't actually learn to do a job by looking at the pictures. So what I did is I translated the job skills textbook into game. Now then, the title of the game is Adventures on Kulong Island. It takes on a form of adventure game, but it actually uses mini games. So I will show you how this game goes.
해양 탐사를 다녀오다가 폭풍우를 만난 당신. 당신이 표류한 곳은 지도상에도 알려져 있지 않은 작은 섬인
I'm sorry, I don't have an
쿨롱아일랜드.
English translation for this.
사랑하는 가족이 기다리는 집으로
But you
돌아가려면
landed, you met a
하루빨리
storm,
이곳에서
you landed
배를
on
고쳐
an
떠나야
island.
한다. 그러나 배를 고치기 위해서는 돈이 필요하다.
And to get off this island, you have to work,
일을 해야 한다.
to earn money to fix
당신이
your boat.
어떤 일을 할 수 있는지는 모르겠지만 낯선 곳에서 처음 해보는 일을 하려면 많은 용기가 필요하다. 당신은
Do you
쿨롱섬에서
have the courage
일을 해볼
to
용기가
find a
있는가?
job here? Now, our kids with intellectual disabilities, one of their characteristics is that they are afraid to do anything. They lack a lot of self-efficacy, which means that they don't believe that they have the ability to take on a job or do a certain task. So we're trying to put all these factors, to have a successful employment into this game. So I'll try to find a job here. And there's a this is based on a textbook. So all of the mini games here is in the textbook. And I'll just try this one. So this is it's a cafeteria. And one of the jobs that students with disabilities can take is working in the cafeteria. You know, children actually really love this game because it's not too complicated, and they can actually practice this in their, okay, I don't know how the screen works, but this is how the game goes. It's really difficult for me to click. I need to click this farm. There's a farm game, but I'll just skip this part. So that's the idea of this job training game. Now, I did an experiment to find the effects of this game. We tried 2 tasks. The first task was an easy, familiar task. So it was it's in the farm game, but you wrap the apples, and then you have to make several boxes. Now, students, here you can see the student trying on the task before receiving any instruction. Then she plays the game, and then she does the same job again. Now, this was a randomized experiment, and students, there were 15 students who was in the game group, and then another 15 students who received traditional instruction, which is one-on-one coaching. Now, there was another task, which was a difficult, unfamiliar task, which was hydroponics. Are you familiar with hydroponics? Some of you are, yes. What the idea of hydroponics is, there's a baby plant, you wrap it with a sponge, and then you plant it in a styrofoam box, and then there's water inside. So you can grow your plant inside your home. This was a difficult task, and it was an unfamiliar task for these students. Now the results show that I looked at the number of errors and time to complete. You can see that the red line is the experiment group, which means their number of errors decreased significantly after the gameplay. Now if you look at the blue line, which is the control group, the number of errors decreased as well, but not as much. So I was very happy to see this, because we don't want to say that traditional job coaching didn't work at all. It works, but game worked better. Now, time to complete. You can see that both traditional group and the game group, they both decreased, but the game group decreased more. Now for the difficult task, which is on this side, the hydroponics, you can see that for the number of errors, the traditional group they stayed almost the same. And then the time to complete stayed almost the same as well. So I found that the game was effective for both easy and difficult tasks. However, there were higher effects for difficult tasks than easy tasks. The significance of this study is that usually teaching them hydroponics, it would take them about a month every day. They have to practice it every day to master a task. Now, while they're playing game, they only played the game for 15 minutes. And after they played the game, they mastered the task, which would have taken a month if they received traditional instruction. What I observed was that after playing the game, and then I gave them the actual tasks, the student took the task as a game. So they tried to do it quickly, and they actually found it fun to do a hydroponics task. Now, then comes a real-world job training. This is one of the job training that's very popular in Korea. It's the barista training. So we train our students how to make coffee so they could work at a Starbucks or a coffee bean. There is a lot of risk involved with this job because they can burn their hands. This particular student here, it took him 3 years to master this skill. He has intellectual disability. And the day I was filming him, he still burned his hand by the hot water. But the parents and the students, they really, really want to be trained in this job, even though they cannot get a job after training, because it boosts their confidence that they could find a cool job, or they have acquired this cool skill. Now, so we developed a barista game because this is a sequential task. You have to memorize a sequence of tasks when you're making a coffee. So I will show you this game. Where's this music coming from? Yes. Oh, they're good. This is the barista game. So here, you have to learn how to make a coffee, and we actually included a video. A real video so that students can generalize what they learn into the real world. So after they have viewed the video, they can actually try it in the game. Even if you can't read any of the text, it's okay, you can still play the game. Our students with intellectual disabilities, a lot of them, they can't read text anyways, but they could still play the game. So right now you're learning how to make a coffee in Starbucks. This game, we try to use real time because students, a lot of students have limitation in understanding time. So you have to let the water flow for 20 seconds in real world. So here in the game, you have to wait for 20 seconds. So you make 2 glasses of coffee here. And then we have, just stop there. But you can make cafe latte, you can make frappuccino, cappuccino, and cafe mocha, and caramel macchiato. So there are these menus that children or adolescents actually really like and what they see in the real world, and they can actually try it in the game. Okay, we brought this game into a special school where many students with intellectual disabilities were being trained in the barista skills. Now, people thought that they would not be able to play this game because there were too many texts and it looked too complicated. But what we found out in the field was that everybody could play the game. Even though it looks complicated, they were very, very motivated, and they were very concentrated in playing the game. And another thing that we found is that they were playing the game in groups. Even though there was just one student playing, other students would be watching and learning how to make the coffee. Now, one remark or one feedback that we received from the actual barista who was working at the schools with these children was that she was actually afraid to lose her job once this game was out. Now, despite the game's complexity, students could play the game without assistance, in person and in groups. They didn't need any kind of assistance. Students showed high levels of motivation and attention. Usually, they would not be able to concentrate for more than 15 minutes. So a teacher, when she's teaching math, she would cut her lesson into 15-minute segments and deliver the instruction. Now, with this game, they were able to concentrate the whole hour. We actually had to, pull them out from the computer. Some immediate generalization was observed. Now, generalization is a very frequent problem for these population because even though they do it on screen, sometimes when they go out into the real world, there's a disconnection. They don't understand. But right after playing the game, they could actually go into the kitchen and they could actually try what they learned from the game in the real world. Now the closing remarks. For some students, game-based learning and training may be the last resort because, for example, kids with autism, a lot of them experience trouble in focusing on meaningful tasks. So even though there are cups and things in front of them, their attention is constantly somewhere else, even though their hands are here. They find it hard to actually look at the task that they're doing. But with the game, they were very eager to play the game on screen, and they didn't have problem with attention. Gameplay is not only effective, but it may enhance the overall quality of life for these children and adolescents. For what the feedbacks that we get from parents is that sometimes their children, they need to be taught how to spend their leisure time. They even need to be taught how to play. If you don't teach them how to play, a lot of our students, they would just be standing or sitting in the corner of the room for hours and hours doing nothing. And seeing them able to play the game itself, even whether they could find a job or not, it doesn't matter. Just to know that they're spending time doing something fun was very encouraging for the teachers and the parents. So the overall quality of life could be enhanced with playing games. So that's our contact information. We do both research and product development. And we're working on several other projects, including money management and online mobile app games.